So I just want to talk about something that I've noticed with my own coaching clients. So a lot of my clients are new to the industry. They might be brand new, or they might have booked, one, two, three co-star level roles. So under 5 lines on network shows. Very exciting. But their goal now is to get to that next tier of booking larger roles. And we go through a lot of their auditions, and I've noticed I'm telling them uh, a lot of the same things. And the biggest thing that I think is missing from a lot of people's auditions, which also carries over to scene work, to pretty much any acting in any medium, is a strong moment before. Having a strong moment before can just completely elevate someone's acting. It allows you to entice people right away, and the most important thing is it puts you in your scene from the moment it starts, which the reality of it is it makes it more fun. And my belief is that the more fun an actor is actually having auditioning, the better their audition is going to be. Always the take that someone ends and they're like, oh my God, that was so fun, is always the one I think is the best when I watch it. So what is the moment before? So in an audition specifically, because in other things it can be, the length of it can be different, but it's the 2 to 10 seconds in an audition before the first line is spoken. And the goal here is to help transport who's ever watching your audition or your acting into a three-dimensional world of the scene. So I find actors often focus on their inner world, right? Which is really important. It's important to know your opinions about the other characters, to know your backstory, your intentions, all of those things that you learn. But I find that actors often forget to create the visual world. Um, so what I always tell them is to ask themselves a list of questions. This isn't all the questions, it's just some of them to get people to start thinking. So where are you? Right? First question. What does that space that you're in look like? What does it physically feel like? What's your opinion of that space? Have you been to that space before? Who else is in that space with you? How do you feel about those people being in that space with you? Once you've asked yourself all those questions, sometimes if you have a script, the answers are in the script. Other times you just have to read through the script and make the choices that, one, you feel are most right for the script, or a lot of times that just sound the most fun to you. That's how I do it. A lot of times is just, I know this is Law and Order, there's a style to it, so certain choices you're not going to see on Law and Order, but whatever one seems the most fun to me is the one I'm going to pick. So then I ask myself, how do I communicate this all to my viewer physically, right? So an example, if my character is in an interrogation room, right, there might be, I read the script and okay, they're squinting. So maybe there's a bright light shining on their face. That's what's making them squint. And it says that it's a very small interrogation room. So there's probably not an air conditioner. It's probably hot, stuffy, maybe a little hard to breathe. You're definitely not comfortable. And the script says that there's 2 people in the room and that your first line is, who are you? So I know I don't know who they are. So I'm squinting, there's a bright light. Maybe I can't even see who these people are, right? Maybe I'm just seeing shadows. So with all this in mind, my first 5 to 10 seconds is maybe me, squinting at the light. I'm uncomfortable. I'm shifting, and I'm trying to make out who these people are, right? And there's 2. Doing that now, immediately before any lines even said, has transported you into a 3D space, right? Specifically in audition, right? I have my blue, my light. This is what I have, right? And I can easily there's 2 people, I could easily just talk to them. But what's going to elevate your performance is creating that space. So even though we don't have an interrogation room, who's ever watching, the casting director, the producer, the director, your audience can see and imagine what that space looks like, right? From there, you've set yourself up perfectly, right? You're already living in that space. You know how it feels, and it's much easier to flow into your audition once that first line's there because you're setting up the emotional weight for that first line, right? Um, there's a lot of talk. I hear clients say this all the time to me, right? They say, I was told or I read something that said actors need to be do something different and unique in their auditions. And they asked me like, what does that mean? How do I be different? How do I think differently? And I get where that sentiment is coming from, but I think it actually hurts a lot of actors to think that way, right? Because now you're not thinking about how you do the role, do the scene service. You're thinking, how do I do this differently than I'm assuming other actors are going to do it, which isn't helpful. Instead, I encourage actors to be specific, right? In the scenario I presented, once you create a specific world and you can transport the audience into seeing that, that's what's going to make you unique. That's what's going to allow the viewer to see your very specific and unique approach to this character, to this scene. Because I guarantee the more specific you are, there's too many things happening. Another actor is never going to be specific in the exact same way you are. Even if another actor comes in and says, okay, I'm squinting and it's the light and the thing, the way they're going to engage in that space, if it's fully engaged, is going to be different. So that's what I always encourage actors to do. Be very specific in those 2 to 10 seconds before. Because the other reality is, especially in auditioning, I interned for multiple casting directors when I lived in LA. And I saw it time and time again. They're casting a lot of things at once. If in the first 5 to 15 seconds, that actor hasn't drawn them in, they often don't watch more of that audition. They're trying to fit the role. It's nothing personal. It's that they're trying to cast, 10 roles today, and they don't have time to watch everything. So those first moments are the most vital because it's your way of making people want to watch more. And it's also the way you set yourself up. Because I know from experience and from what I see from my actors, if they don't have that from the start, they're playing catch up. And those auditions then aren't as enjoyable to them. And at the end of the day, if what we're doing isn't enjoyable to us, why are we doing it? So I hope that's helpful. One before, think about it. Super, super important.